I got a letter from 13-year-old Ryan from Belfast. Now, Ryan, if you're out in the crowd tonight, here's the answer to your question. No. As far as I know, an alien spacecraft did not crash in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. And Ryan, if the United States Air Force did recover alien bodies, they didn't tell me about it either, and I want to know.
To the surprise of many, on June 24, 1997, the United States Air Force issued an official report attempting to explain a 30-year-old story that aliens were found at a crash site near Roswell, New Mexico, and in a vast government conspiracy, secreted away. Nonsense, the Air Force concluded. These were merely test dummies from high-altitude experiments. To support their contention, a book and 4 minutes of video were released, themselves triggering new questions of their own. What follows is that video reproduced here without any modification whatsoever. The official Air Force video includes footage from 3 high-altitude balloon studies: Operations High Dive, Man High, and Project Excelsior. These 3 studies are related in that each contributed to the development of effective high-altitude escape systems for pilots. The Air Force, however, presents them as the actual events that witnesses commonly call the Roswell incident. To help you decide if these tests might indeed be interpreted as an alien encounter, additional raw video footage has been obtained from the National Archives in Washington, D.C., and from the Department of Defense Motion Media Record Center at March Air Force Base, California, and is included here. High dive balloon flights are documented in the following film segments. High Dive used anthropomorphic test dummies for high-altitude parachute and rocket tests. The dummies, designed to be of the same approximate weight, height, and center of gravity as a human, established the aerodynamics of a human in a free fall, and then tested the effectiveness of various types of parachutes and sequences of parachutes. Each drop gathered telemetry on speed and air temperatures during the fall. High dive dummies were carried aloft by 2 separate types of gondolas. The enclosed white gondola, seen here, is in the shape of what would become the Project Mercury space capsule. Dummies, however, were never carried inside the gondola. Rather, they were strapped to the outside and dropped. Other high dive dummies were carried aloft in open frame crates. 2 dummies were rigged together inside the frame and dropped one after the other. These crates, says the Air Force, are actually the mysterious crates witnesses mentioned in the reports of the Roswell incident. Clearly, these dummies are odd, almost spooky looking, no doubt found in the desert without any understanding of their use. One to jump to almost any conclusion, aliens included. However, these dummies posed one critical problem. They were dropped 6 years after the Roswell incident. Project Man-High was another in a series of Air Force high-altitude experiments referenced in the Roswell Report. In these tests, large balloons carried manned capsules into the upper reaches of the Earth's atmosphere to study how humans responded to the harsh environment of high-altitude flight. One Man-High flight soared to a peak altitude of 101,500 feet and stayed aloft for 33 hours. Wild, certainly mysterious looking, and as likely as anything airborne to trigger calls of UFOs. Man-High was conducted entirely in 1957 and 1958, 10 years after the Roswell incident. Project Excelsior was, in almost every respect, the riskiest of the manned balloon flights. Captain Joseph Kittinger, seen here and in most of these segments, studied high-altitude escape systems to be used by pilots and shown to the astronauts. Kittinger tested parachutes by doing what had to be done, leaping from balloons floating at almost incredible altitudes. The flight suit he wore was complex and bulky, but had to seamlessly cover his body. Any exposed skin would be frozen during the free falls. Altogether, Kittinger's gear weighed about what he did himself, 150 pounds. The Air Force found reason to include Excelsior in its video release, but on viewing additional footage, it seems unlikely to have been a contributing factor in the alleged confusion between bona fide Air Force projects and aliens. Nonetheless, the results of Excelsior were quite spectacular. In his final jump, Kittinger leaped from a record altitude of 102,800 feet and free fell over 14 miles before his chute successfully deployed. During that jump, Kittinger encountered temperatures as low as 94 degrees below zero. Interestingly, during the fall, Kittinger actually broke the sound barrier, protected only by the jumpsuit he wore. Kittinger jumped 3 times during Excelsior, each time at altitudes above 70,000 feet. In comparison, the U-2 spy plane can observe at 70,000 feet over an area of operations for several hours, and the Concorde commercial airliner can fly up to 70,000 feet. Most military aircraft fly to a height of 50,000 feet. Many other balloon launch tests involved odd and suspicious-looking capsules and shapes. Although inadequately identified in the written report, a single photo attributes civilian confusion to a program called Highball, for which additional video segments were found. In these sequences, Air Force balloons carry research monkeys and instruments aloft in shells that, in sunlight, are strikingly similar to artists' renditions of alien spaceships and unidentified flying objects. Nonetheless, even these projects are out of sync with the chronology of Roswell. Will controversies such as Roswell ever be resolved? Not likely in the decades of official silence and bureaucratic stonewalling. Fact, fiction, and oddball theories have blended together into a rock-hard story that won't easily be displaced by video segments and chronological reports. Roswell is Roswell, so be it. Such things are locked away in a logic-proof compartment, perhaps for the better.